What's up, y'all? Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment. Now, the Phoenix Suns have tied the franchise record for most wins in a single season. Uh, they were able to do it in the 2005 season, and they also did it in the 93 season too. And we got to ask ourselves the question: which team, which Phoenix Suns team was the best? Now, just to go back in time a little bit, man, like I always do. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people aren't gonna believe, especially if you lived during that time. and not in '76, okay? Now '76, I don't know an extreme amount about, but the only fact I know is that they made it to the finals, but they failed to get it done because they ended up losing, taking that L. I think they lost. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Boston. But my team that I would select, I mean, they were my team, but the team that I felt was great at that time was the sorry about that, y'all. It was the '93 Phoenix Suns team. Now, a lot of people know that, uh, yeah, because they ended up losing to the Celtics. Yeah, they lost. But a lot of people don't know that in 1993, I mean, everybody and their mom, you see Suns fans coming out from everywhere. And everybody was choosing. They was even choosing the Phoenix Suns on NBA Jam. And that was way back. That was when arcade games were real popular and everything. But I remember, this one particular time, man. I was looking at the finals, and this is when I was like really young. It had a lot of people that were really rooting for the Suns, man. I mean, and Kate, talking about Marley, talking about, of course, CB4, Charles Barkley, talk about Oliver Miller, talk about Cavallo, the young Cedric Cavallo, uh, and just they had a squad. Thunder Dad. I want to say I think was Rex Chapman on that squad. I don't know if Rex Chapman was on that squad, but I'm not quite sure. But that team right there, man, was projected to actually beat the Chicago. Everybody was rooting to beat them. And you had to remember that Charles Barkley, man, he was an MVP that season and stuff. they had a lot of talent on that team. But having said all of that, I think in my personal opinion, just from looking at this Suns team, if they end up getting to if they end up getting to a final, the a second straight year, that's gonna obliterate pretty much the '93 question. And it's not taking anything away from '93 at all, because that was still a tough era in basketball. It wasn't quite like the '80s or anything like that, but it was still a physical era. Um, I think with this Suns team, that a lot of people don't really take into account is the fact that they're not just primarily a 3-point shooting team. They are a defensive team, especially when you talk about Mikal Bridges. Not only that, you know, they have a force in the middle in DeAndre Ayton. And I can't continue to stress enough. They didn't have a guy like DeAndre Ayton in the middle in 1993. They were compiled of a bunch of guys who they could shoot pretty good. They would. Now the Phoenix Suns did have a good defensive team that year. I don't think Dan Marley, guys like Dan Marley don't get enough credit. Even Richard Dumas. I know he had his shortcomings with drugs and stuff like that, or alcohol, whatever. But Richard Dumas was for him being as young as he was. I mean, he was a hog on defense. But this team right here, they're scrappy as a motherfucker. This team right here is really, really scrappy. One could argue that they have an old school like mentality, man. That's like, they can run, they can beat you in transition. I felt like that Suns team, the Suns team in '05, is not really. The reason why I didn't put that up there is because they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't make it to the final. Okay, now if you're talking talent, okay, then that could be argued, or athleticism, as far as the 2004 2005 team. But if we're talking about just success rate, you got to talk about the '76 team and the '93 team, and of course the '21 team, and the 21, well, this year's team, the 2022 team, they're on pace to go to the finals. They're on pace to go to the finals. If they make it to the finals again, ain't no question about that. And even back then, the Phoenix Suns were still an enjoyable team to watch. Charles Barkley, even though he was getting a little bit older, he was still quite durable and everything at that. Because I mean, he did win the MVP and stuff like that. Charles Barkley was enjoyable to watch, man. I like the game, his raw game, as a 76er, me myself personally. But as a Phoenix Suns, he was still as a Phoenix Sun, he was still doing his thing, and he was just coming off the Dream Team '92 So he was feeling himself, man, and he had a right to, because a lot of people felt like Charles Barkley was the best player on that Olympics team. But yeah, if I had my choice, man, I would have to go with this 21 team, especially if they make it to the finals again. It's no disrespect to KJ. I just think, and KJ, let me tell you, KJ, Kevin Johnson. I mean, you talk about a guy that was dunking over Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, guy had rise. KJ could. I mean, regardless of how you feel about his political views and all that other stuff, and regardless of the stuff that you heard about him off the court and all that other stuff, but as a basketball player, he was phenomenal. People forget that Kevin Johnson. I think Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley were the only ones on the team with their shoes, with their own shoes. People forget that Kevin Johnson had his own shoes. He used to have a Converse. A lot of people don't know that, but I don't think that Kevin Johnson was as good as a point guard as Chris Paul. You know, Chris Paul has really came and amplified this team. Monty Williams, if we got to compare the coaching, Monty Williams is and don't get me wrong, man, I know some people gonna freak out when I say this. You know, I think he's better than Paul Westphal. God rest his soul. God rest Paul Westphal's soul. He was a good coach. He was a damn good coach. But Monty Williams, he's on a whole nother level, man. A whole nother level. And listen, don't give me that bullshit about, oh well, if he didn't have all these players, he wouldn't be doing what he do. Man, at the end of the day, you know what I say? You know what I say to that? You still gotta execute. You still have to go out there and you still have to execute. You have to. You can't just go out there and like, you can have all the talent in the world. I've said it time and time again. You can have all the talent in the world, man, but if you're not going out there and you're not executing the X's and O's, so to speak, it's no good. And DeAndre Ayton, I know a lot of people feel like I'm caping for DeAndre Ayton, but I'm trying to get people to look at the fact that DeAndre Ayton is just as important to that team as even Mikal Bridges is, or even Devin Booker is, or even CP3 is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. Am I saying that he could, carry the whole daggone squad to the finals by himself and all that other stuff? No, I'm not saying that. But I mean, if you need Ayton to be there, even when Chris Paul wasn't there, and when CP3 wasn't there, and Devin Booker wasn't there, guess what? He could be counted on. He could be counted on. And I don't think like during that time, I don't think they would be able to. Of course, the big man was dominating back then. It was a lot more physical and stuff like that. But I believe Ayton will be able to hold his own. I mean, he's made strides to his game. That's another thing. he's still able to get better each and every season. The Phoenix Suns have gotten better. They haven't gotten worse. They've gotten better. They got the best record in the league, best road record in the league. They've set a single season record. And you know what's also phenomenal too is that even though they have struggled with injuries, they still have been able to do a phenomenal job. But right now, I think it's going to be the 21 Suns. Now, the 21 Suns, I got them in there, you know, also because now, well, let me take something back. Let me say this. Let me rewind this for a second. Okay, if the 22 Suns make it and they make it to the finals, it would be better. It would be better than pretty much all of the teams, especially when you consider the fact that you were able to go 2 years in a row. You'll be able to get a guy now. If they would have had, an MVP on there, if Chris Paul was able to get an MVP on there, or Devin Booker was able to get an MVP, and Mikal Bridges was able to get Defensive Player of the Year, and Monty Williams was able to get Coach of the Year, and then on top of that, you give James Jones Executive of the Year again, in combination with making it to the finals. Dare I say an NBA championship? Not to mention having the best record in the league. All of that. You combine all of that, that pretty much destroys the whole argument. That would destroy the whole argument. Especially then we would have to ask, okay, who's better, the 22 team, right? The 22 team, the 93 team, or the 76 team, and of course the Larry O'Brien. That pretty much that seals the deal right there, because it's looking like right now it's looking like Phoenix is going to win. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's looking like Milwaukee is ready to get back to where they were. Between them and Miami. Mm-hmm. And the Suns, the thing about the Suns, man, they've always had. I mean, you would think, as much as I talk about the Suns, you would think I was more of a Suns fan than my guy Hitman X. Shout out to Hitman X. You would think that I was more of a Suns fan than him. but I appreciate a good brand of basketball. I really do, and I give them respect. I could give them respect, but you have to appreciate the way that the Suns play the game. Like everybody that sits up there and they hate on the guy like uh, Devin Booker. Look at the way Devin Booker plays. Now I don't agree with some of the mental lapses he's had in the past or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he's always been a phenomenal player. But you have to appreciate a guy like Devin Booker. You have to appreciate a guy like CP3. You have to appreciate a guy like Mikal Bridges. You have to appreciate a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Even Cameron Payne. You have to appreciate a guy like Cameron Payne. He accepts his role. He goes out there, still plays regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, still goes out there and play regardless. But you have to respect it. What's up, Grinder? You gotta respect it, man. Grinder, what happened to you yesterday, man? You came in and then you went back out, man. But I salute to you though. This 2022 team, they're on pace to do something that none of the other teams were able to do. You some, it might be some guys. It might be some guys that might be calling the 22 team better than all the teams already. Because of what their focus is, man. Their focus is like on man. It's like they are really locked in. They're really locked in. I've never like I haven't seen a team locked in like this since like one could argue the Warriors or even the Bulls. Nobody's been as locked in as them uh, as the Phoenix Suns. And I think Don Lovato he said no championships. We're not talking about that though. I'm talking about who's the better team. You gotta learn what argument we're having. It's not about championship. We know that they don't have any championships on their resume. At least not not yet. You know, we're talking about who's the better team right now. We're talking about who's the better team, who has been, more successful than the other. We're not talking about championships. We know that they don't have any championships. That's that's common sense right there. But you have three teams that have gotten to the final. I mean, come on now. Don't make your argument something to where we could poke holes into it. We could poke holes all into that argument right there. You know, like this team right here, man. They're locked in defensively. They're locked in offensively. They're locked in. Their coaching is on point. Like it's gonna, cause it's gonna come down to coaching. It's gonna come down to rebounding, and of course, It's gonna come down to defense and executing down the stretch. And I feel like right now the Suns got all the tools to win it. I'm not saying that they are gonna win it, but they got all the tools to actually win this thing. And for some reason, they hate on the Suns. I don't know why a lot of people hate on the Suns, man. I never understood that. If anything, man, you should appreciate these guys right here, man. You should appreciate this brand of basketball. But if I had to choose, man, I'm going with the 21 Suns. And if the 22 Suns make it and they actually end up winning, uh, I'll probably go with 22. I'll probably go with 22. You know, and some people might say 93. Some people might say 93 because they felt like they faced the team of the highest order in the Chicago Bulls. Real talk. But on that note, man, like the video, share it, hit them notifications. Polo Sports Talking Entertainment. Get at you later.